This is Life Transformation Radio. Prepare to engage. Seatbelt activated. Download initiated. Your quantum journey of transformation begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. Hi, I'm Rob Actis, best-selling author of The Law of Action, voice actor, business mindset coach, the podcast whisperer, and Mr. Action himself. Life Transformation Radio is heard in over 90 countries. Thank you for joining us from all around the world. Whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to Life Transformation Radio for some time, I want to personally thank you. Here at Life Transformation Radio, we are committed to share more about real life, love, the power of positivity, romance, and of course, laughter. We care about helping others find their internal drive and purpose. We celebrate life's challenges and overcoming them. This is a special edition of Life Transformation Radio. We are live on Clubhouse. On the show, my guests are amazing people who are forces for good in the world around them and live a life of transformation. My guest today, she does that. Today, Carla Ballou and I discuss how we can build new chapters for ourselves in our everyday life. If you want to learn how to fear less, be true to who you are, and never give up, this is a show for you. Carla Ballou, she's got an MBA. And there is a common thread woven throughout her entire career, helping people to excel. As a leadership, high performance, and organizational change management professional, and that's a long title, her goal is to coach, teach, motivate, empower, and inspire women to be their very best. Drawing from her diverse background in finance, leadership, fashion, and beauty, Carla has been able to help clients transition into their purposeful and intentional careers. Carla, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Hey, how are you?
I am so good. Thank you so much for being here. We are live on Clubhouse with an audience, and it's so much fun to do it that way because what's going to happen is what's going to happen. So there you go. That's all I can say. So welcome to the show. Really thrilled to have you here. I love that you are so powerful. I love your motivation. I love your photograph. Girl, you a badass. Like really. Like I just look at you like, dang, I love that. So there's a lot to Carla. Like a lot. So let's unpack. So I don't know if we should dive into your finance background, your leadership background, your fashion or your beauty background. But I'm going to let you just spin that wheel and you tell me, because we're going to dive deep. Get ready. Get ready.
So that's a hard one because there's so many ways that I can go. I can basically start off from the beginning of having a son die and being in the hospital and watching how everything transpired, which led me into my corporate career working in healthcare for the last 30 years.
Yeah, let's go there. So I have a daughter who was 14 years old 8 years ago, and she had 4 strokes and was in a coma, had brain surgery. So I can totally relate. Little PTSD when she survived, barely, but she did survive. So let's unpack that. And that's definitely a story of transformation.
I think that's where everything for me started. And so I think going back to that time, having to go bury your son who's 22 months old, a marriage that failed because you had a son that died and neither one could really communicate or connect anymore on a level between husband and wife. Literally everything just came falling down. My job was great. I was working for a different company. I was working for Dean Witter Reynolds as a sales assistant, making great money. And I just realized that was not where I needed to go. Yeah. But through the whole thing and kind of taking you fast forward, it was one of those things where I kept trying to find a job, kept trying to go for a 9 to 5, kept trying to do certain things, and literally was making no money, or either I was being fired because I just found no thrill in what I was doing within the healthcare system.
Right.
So it took me literally to come out of healthcare, still working in it after 30 years, but to come out and do something different, which led me into makeup and hair artistry.
I love that.
So, I had to get into something different because having an analytical mind, I was losing myself. And so the creativity side was going, everything that I was doing. I mean, I was, talking to people, dealing with numbers, and not like really engaging with them as people. So I kind of lost that feminine energy, and literally I had more of my masculine energy and literally didn't trust anybody. So I had to find something. So I took up singing, and then I went into hair and makeup, and then went in even deeper into digital makeup. So being able to do that, I say, was a vice to get me to where I am right now, because being able to make up, models. I mean, I've literally done covers. I've been in fashion weeks, so being able to be behind the scenes and really talk to models and see what their problems were. I take one story and I tell you, one girl sat in my chair. She said, "Carla, make me beautiful." And I'm looking at her like she's crazy. And I said, "What do you mean make you beautiful?" She goes, "I just found out that my boyfriend of 5 years has been cheating on me for the last 3 of those 5 years. And we're walking down the runway today together."
Wow.
And so that literally, I had a chance to either say, "Girl, you need to leave him and go a different path," or I could just sit there and listen and see where she wanted to go.
Right.
And then ask specific questions. That was my number one mark of me saying where I could literally help and be a coach in people's lives. Because
you know what? I was going to just jump in. I think it's important to make a distinction of this model who's going through some severe trauma, finding out that her
Right.
boyfriend has been cheating, and people will say, "Oh, make me look beautiful." And look, she's a model. She probably was absolutely gorgeous. And you're just going to add like a little bit of essence here and a little bit of essence there. And I think the distinction that I got when you said that for her was that, "Carla, I really need to do something for me. And it's time for me at this very moment before I go out and give everything I have for some self-care. So if you could really just treat me and spoil me," that's what I think she was asking. Would that be accurate?
That would be accurate. That would be accurate. Just because going on to talk to her really kind of brought everything out, brought everything up. She didn't understand it. She had a crying moment. And so, sorry about that. That's my computer.
Control, then select the device you want to view.
Let me turn that off. I
Make sure
apologize.
the device is turned on. Power off.
There we go. So dealing with her in that area, once she was actually made up, took me about an hour to give her the look that she actually wanted for the designer we were dealing with. But at the end of it all, she literally kissed me. She thanked me because I didn't give her information of, like everybody else would say, "Leave, you need to do this." I said, "Girl, you look beautiful. You need to make a decision. Do you want to stay with him? Do you want to go? What are your choices? What are you thinking? Where are you at right now?" And so by asking the right question, literally, I can tell you today, and it's been probably 8 years, they're still together. What she learned from me is really how to set boundaries and stick to them.
There you go.
Boundaries.
Well, boundaries is like my thing. I'm all about the boundaries. It makes life so much simpler.
It does. It does. And even with my own life, I didn't have any boundaries, when I was actually younger. I had absolutely none. And as I got older and I started getting literally fired from jobs because I just wouldn't stick up for myself, people would put me as that scapegoat, when I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing what you're telling me to do. But yet I'm the one getting fired and let go because of it. That's when I really realized and I had to really turn internally and say, what is it about me? Because this is about me. I need to figure out what I'm doing wrong. I need to figure out how to fix myself. And a lot of people don't see that because they want to say, okay, it's the other person's fault. It's the other person, they fired me. There was nothing that I did wrong. But if you really kind of go deep inside, you'll find out that there are some insecurities that you have that led to that, or putting something out into the universe, such as, I hate my job.
Right.
That's enough to do it.
Right. And the interesting thing about boundaries, and a lot of people think boundaries and they're thinking, oh, sexual boundaries. There are so many other boundaries in your life. I mean, that's one boundary, but there are so many more. It's how you allow people to talk to you. It's how you allow people to behave around you. Like, I have a boundary. I don't like people that are late. It really, really bothers me. Because as someone with ADHD, it's very difficult for me to be on time. And I go to the end of the earth and back in making sure that I'm on time. And if I can be on time, they should be on time.
And I agree with that. I mean, my dad brought me up to really, if I say I'm going to be somewhere and I'm going to be there at a certain time, I better make sure I'm 5 minutes early, because being 5 minutes early, you're on time. Exactly. And
I find it, and I don't know what it is in today's world, but people do not honor being on time. We make appointments on Zoom all the time, and I'm running 10 minutes late. Okay, I'm here. I'm here.
Right.
My time, I had to stop what I was doing to be there. And it makes it really clear. And it's interesting when you set boundaries for people, how they resist. And usually they fight that because they don't want to honor your boundaries. And you can tell a lot about someone in your life, and also a lot about you in your life, of how you allow people to not respect your boundaries.
Exactly. When I was doing that, I found that people literally would take advantage of me, run over me. It wasn't until I realized what those boundaries were and what was actually hurting me, and I started standing up for myself. Yes, people actually kind of repelled from me from that, because they were like, wait a minute, she's changed. She's gone.
Oh my God, she has boundaries. I'm not allowed to walk all over her. It's the funniest thing, because when you set up boundaries, people will leave your life quick. And those are the ones, and it's like, this person's been abusing me and they're always showing up late. And then you declare, look, you can't be late anymore, period. And they're like, yeah, you're difficult. I don't want to work with you anymore, or whatever. I don't want to be your friend, or what have you. And it's just interesting, because what you think they are when you set up a boundary and they respond of like, push away or leave, it's extremely obvious that they have been violating your boundaries. And good for you for standing up for yourself. Because look, you deserve to be happy, and you deserve to have extraordinary people in your life. And extraordinary people and high-performing people have boundaries. And to play in a world of people that have boundaries is a really fun way to live, because everybody honors their word and their boundaries. Yep.
Yeah. And it was so bad. I literally had to do it with my children. I had to do it with my parents. I had to do it with my job. I had to do it with friends, and just kind of really set those boundaries. And, my friends and my family, I can say were closer. They understood, and, but there were some friends I had to let go of. And I was actually fine with that, because they didn't need to be in my life, because I'm like, if you're not adding value to my life, then I don't need you. I don't need somebody to talk negative about me or to me, because I can do that myself.
Oh yeah. We all have that voice in our head that says, la, 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 la. Yeah. That voice. And if you're going to add on to that voice, I don't need you in my life.
Right. So I'm like, go away. Go, literally go away. I mean, I've had even a cousin that I was very close to. I just felt like that they were living 20 years in the past. And I'm like, okay, I can't handle this. I can't have you in my life. I love you dearly. You're related, but I got to step away, and I've got to put some distance between us, because I'm going in a totally different way than you are. And sometimes it takes for you to make those. Sometimes you have to walk alone, and it's okay. You're not going to walk alone for long, but it's okay, because then you really get to see the essence of who you are.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing, is like we just said about walking alone. As soon as you cut them loose, all of a sudden, this incredible new person is going to show up in your life. And they only know you by the boundaries that you've already set. So they have a different experience of you. They just know you as someone who sets those boundaries. And that way, when you develop that friendship with them, there's a much higher level of respect.
Right. Exactly. And so I've never, I mean, people will test you. I think people need to know that no matter what. You're going to be tested, but I always stand true to myself. I always stand true to my integrity and what I believe in. And if that means that we can't be friends, then that's okay. But it's gotten me, 54 years, it's gotten me here. So I'm going to continue to do me. And I tell people and I tell my clients all the time, do you and do you with integrity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just a cleaner way to live your life. It's just a cleaner way to live your life.
Right. It really is. And it honestly, once I learned how to do that, it actually felt so much better, because I can tell you, I'm not one of those people that I see people on, whether it's Clubhouse or Facebook or Instagram, and they're acting like they're all happy. I'm happy, but I'm not that person that's always dancing around, or you're going to find my voice being, up and down. I'm pretty much mellow in how I deal with things, but that attracts the type of crowd that wants to be with me or wants to be on track with me. And that's okay. I make sure that I stay true to me and who I am, and not trying to do what I see everybody else out there doing. And I can tell you, it's paid off for me. It's paid off tremendously for me, because now people are like, hey, I mean, I come on Clubhouse and I don't even have to say a word. People literally look at my profile and they're like, can I work with you? Can we talk together? And I'm like, I'm baffled by it, but I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Yeah, your energy definitely flies through the photographs.
Yeah. And so what happens is, what I found out is, through just the clients that I have, they have no boundaries. First of all, they come to me, they're like, well, I want to make multi-six figures. I want to learn how to make seven figures. I want to learn how to do this. But they don't realize all the other stuff that they have, that they've held on to, that's actually blocking them from moving forward. And one is big time boundaries.
Amen. Amen. And oh, by the way, amen. So how do we build new chapters for ourselves in our everyday life?
I can tell you, people ask, how do you reinvent yourself daily? I'm always researching, but that's the researcher in me. So I'm always looking at things differently. I'm always trying to look at a different point of view. If somebody's mad, I don't take it personally. I say, okay, then, that's on them. They're probably mad. What can I do, if I'm involved with them? What can I do to make your day better? Did I do something? I ask the right questions, and just really making myself a better person. I read stuff every day. I'm looking for different things on how to present to my own clients or to my own tribe every day. How can I make them better? What is it? I use a lot of the neuro-linguistic programming things that run through, that people don't get and don't understand with the unconscious mind. Ooh, and so
I like that. I'm an NLP
so
kind
by
of guy.
doing that,
I like that.
I tell people this, and a lot of people are thinking, one, hypnosis. They're like, oh my gosh, you're going to make me quack like a duck or walk like a dog. And I'm like,
sorry, you got to pay extra for that. You got to pay extra for the quack like a duck. You got to pay extra for that. That's not included in this program.
It's not. But the thing about hypnosis is it's not about that at all. And so once I go into explaining what, hypnosis really is, then they're like, oh, okay. But you have to still be open to it. And most people that actually I do the hypnosis or I do time travel, really, really, when they come out of it, they're very emotional. And so I have to really kind of watch how I step with them. But it gets them to that point of realizing, where did those boundaries stop happening? Where was it in your timeline that all of the stuff started happening, whether you're forgetting stuff or you let people walk all over you or anything traumatic happened in your life? That's literally where we find it.
I love it. So I've been to those hypnosis shows before, and every single time, even in high school when we had a hypnotist, I was out in the audience every single time. Like, I am apparently very susceptible to being hypnotized. It's pretty remarkable, actually. I find it quite fascinating. But yeah, I definitely I'm the one in the audience who goes down. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. And people don't understand when you're hypnotized, you're going through time travel. It's going into something that you actually blocked in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
And so once you bring a person out of that, then they have, I give people about a week to actually deal with that and show them how to deal with it. And then it's like I've just literally gone from 0 to about 5. I still have 5 to go, but I've got them from 0 to 5. I've unblocked whatever it was that's blocking. Now let's move into what we really need to get to.
Yeah. As humans, our brains are quite, how would I put it? Complex. And the most amazing thing is, we use so little of our brain. Like we use so little of our brain. And the parts that we're not using, a lot of it is that negative voice that comes in. It takes up a lot of that space.
Yeah, I mean, it says that we only use about 10% of our brain. It would pretty much kind of scare us if we were to use any more than that, because we would not know how to deal with all of what would come up at that point in time. And so we tend to suppress things, or a lot of it has to do with social inhibition and what social has taught us and what we see. We actually take in, and what people don't realize, whether it's watching TV, whether you're listening to music, all of that is seeping into your unconscious mind. So you wonder why you think a certain way, or why you talk a certain way, or why you look a certain way. It's because all of that stuff literally has now gone into your unconscious mind, and people do not see that. They don't understand it. But then when you point it out, or you say, okay, let's go and let's do this and let's walk down this timeline, they're like, oh, you're right. This actually started, my mom was listening to music at 5 years old, and then I just kind of started listening to this music, and now this is who my persona has come to be. And so that's why I'm very, very protective of what goes into my mind. Absolutely.
Garbage in, garbage out. Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by, I work very deeply in the podcasting space, and my mind is blown. The number one category, the most popular, the most downloads, the most passionate listeners of podcasting. Do you know what it is?
What?
It's true crime.
Wow.
And I do a countdown show, the Hot 50 Countdown, and it's amazing because I have to scrape audio from some of these shows. And I'm just like, oh my, they just describe in detail these true crimes. And I'm like, and it's the largest consumption of podcasting is true crime. People cannot get enough of them. And it's usually just people reading verbatim out of police reports and out of court records and stuff. And I'm like, whoa. It just blows my mind how so many people want to hear that. And I'm fascinated by that.
And my mother actually has worked in Department of Corrections she retired now, so it had to be over 35 years. And so I got really kind of good insight. I wanted to be a lawyer when I grew up, and then go into forensics. But I got to see a lot of that. And then also being in healthcare, you get to see a lot of the crimes. I mean, one of the hospitals I was in, a gang member was brought into the ER. And literally the other gang members came in with guns and shot him dead.
Inside the hospital?
Right there. Inside the hospital.
Yikes.
Inside the hospital. And told everybody if anybody did anything that they would shoot them. I worked at that hospital.
See, now our ratings are going to skyrocket because now we're a true crime podcast. Now we turn into a true crime. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, they talked about a gang shooting in a hospital. That's amazing." That'll be the headliner clip. That'll be the headliner clip that we'll share about this show.
If we're talking true crime, I lived in San Bernardino, California, and when that whole terrorist act happened, my daughter was involved with that. They had to shut down 2 of the schools that both of my grandchildren were at because one of the people was actually going to the high school that my granddaughter was at. So, a lot of this hits home for me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
When we talk about true crime, I've been involved in it. So.
All right, well, let's shift gears and let's go from true crime back to NLP because I think NLP is so incredibly powerful. So
it is.
Share a little bit more about how we can all use NLP in our lives and the power of NLP.
I can tell you the one thing that I think NLP really, really helps people with on an everyday basis is reframing. And the way you look at something is not going to be the way it actually is. And I can say, if somebody says to me, well, she doesn't like me. But how do you know that?
Right.
I go back at the person and I say, well, how do you know that person doesn't like you?
I just know. I just know.
Right. And they don't. And so it's all about reframing. It's like a person walking down the street. All of a sudden you see a man push this woman, right? And you're thinking, wow, he just pushed her for no reason. He doesn't know her. But what they didn't realize is there was bricks getting ready to come down on her head and he's pushing her out of the way.
Yeah.
So so people don't see how to reframe, or what's actually happening may not be what they think it is. And so sometimes it's just step back, look at it for what it is, or if you're having negative talk in your mind, I always tell my clients, I'm like, if you've got negative talk, one person will say, I don't have enough money. This is just one that I can think of off my head. People are like, I don't have enough money. Okay, well, you just put that into the universe. So guess what's going to happen? You're going to get more of not having money.
Right.
All of this stuff that you've just called in. I said, so now what I want you to do is I want you to put out into the universe. I take that back. You're going to take it back really quick. And now we're going to reframe that money. And we're going to say, I have enough for what I need right now.
Yeah.
And so
abundance.
What is happening?
Abundance is a great mindset to have. There's scarcity and there's abundance. And I love that about money is that you always have enough. You may not have everything you want, but you always have enough. You always do.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a client that literally called me and says, hey, I tried your manifestation. And she said it worked. She goes, she was actually coming back from Africa and they couldn't find a flight out because they literally shut Africa down again. And she says, but I kept saying I want to travel first class. I kept putting it out in the universe. I wrote it down. I did all of these things. And literally the day that she went to the airport, she literally flew back from Africa first class.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you just get into flow and you just trust what the universe has for you and you get in your lane, magic happens. Seriously.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had things happen to me that people are like blown away. And I'm like, I never say I don't expect it because if you ask for something, then you're expecting it to happen. Don't push away the gift when it comes and say, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that to happen. Yeah, you were expecting because you asked for it. So when it happens, be grateful for it. And so that is really the manifestation that I talk to people about, because if they just take time to just, again, reframe what they're thinking about, start writing it down. I tell people, put stickers all over your house. Wake up in the morning, have a sticker that says, hello, beautiful. Put another sticker on another wall that says, I'm great today. Because once you start feeding yourself this over time, you really start to believe it and you start to clean out that other negative self-talk that you had. I've had women that were on narcotics that have cleaned themselves up and gone on to do interior design. Just by doing the little things on a daily basis. But again, it's consistency that's going to count with that.
Absolutely. All right. Carla, you ready for a good one? You ready? We're going deep. Here we go. All right.
I am.
What is your why? Why do you get up? Why does Carla get up in the morning? What drives you? What allows you to get up out of bed? Why?
Because I was put on this earth for a purpose, and it took me a long time to really find my purpose. And that is really when I'm at my best, I'm helping others, and I'm pretty much kind of pouring into them. And so what I mean by that is I have been in corporate for a long time, and I've had teams from, having 15 people under me to 231, and literally being able to have them in a room and literally just pour into them and mentor them. I had 231 employees. I would sit at their desk, each and every one. If they needed training on something, I was there to give them that training, which then made them become a high performance team. Because once I learned how to give back, it's about service. And so once I learned how to do that, once I learned how to mentor, once I learned how to coach, and I brought NLP into it, because now I can build that rapport with you. Literally, that is my reason for getting up, because if I can make you a better person in the end, guess what? You're going to do it to 2 or 3 or 4, and you're going to pay that back tenfold. Then guess what? Everybody comes together. So I look at the world now, yes, what we're going through, what we're in, but we're going to come out of it. And if we all just start to learn to work together, then we're going to be a better place. And we're starting to open up our eyes to different things as well. And because we're starting to open up our eyes, people are like looking and saying, okay, yes, you might be different, but that's okay. That's a good thing, because I don't want you just like me. And so that's really, really dear to my heart, is people, if you just live authentically, people are going to accept that. I had just a sidebar. I was on LinkedIn the other day, and I read about this guy, and he's known for playing for Chuck Berry and some other people. But what he's really known for is literally having Ku Klux Klan. Now, mind you, he's a black man, sitting down with the top of the Ku Klux Klan. The guy ended up giving him his cap and his gown and everything. And about, I think, 54 more actually did the same thing. To me, that's a why. Bring love to this world. Bring knowledge to this world. Apply that knowledge, and then everybody can actually live together.
Wow. Okay. That's just from the power of a conversation. And that's what I love about podcasting, is it's the power of conversation. Whew. That was amazing. If you want to reach Carla, you can reach her at carlabcoach.us. Also, she's on Instagram and Facebook, and you can also find her right here on Clubhouse. Carla, thank you so much for being a guest today on Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you. I loved it.
It was a blast. Thank you. And thank you so much for your support and taking time out of your busy day.
I will.
You what?
I definitely will support you. Definitely.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. I was thanking all the listeners, because there's a lot of them out there, and they're going to love you. Thank you for listening today, for your support, and taking the time out of your busy and precious day to listen. We so appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me, along with my very special guest, Carla Ballou, to touch your heart, move your soul, and inspire you to live a life of transformation. I'm Rob Actis. Until next time.
This is Life Transformation Radio. Download complete.